Are you tired or are you burnt out? Well, today we're going to talk about that with my guest, Erin Treacy, here on Mindset Matters More. And I'm so grateful that you're here today, Tracy. She is a leadership and business coach who helps professionals and leaders navigate pressure, communication challenges, and the real demands of leading people. With nearly 3 decades across broadcast news, small business ownership, hospitality, marketing, and communications, Erin brings a grounded, people-first perspective. Raised in a multi-generational family business in Appalachia, she saw firsthand how leadership decisions affect both people and performance. After working through her own burnout, she now guides others to build stronger teams, clearer communication, and sustainable ways of working without sacrificing well-being, which is like so needed. It's all about real moments on the job, not just theory. Erin, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Oh, I'm so excited. I've been looking forward to this conversation. So, yay.
Well, let's get started. And I've got a good one for you. So, we often hear about burnout in corporate. We hear about burnout in, the 9 to 5, the hustle, the grind culture. You got to work a 9 to 5 and 5 to 9 to build real life. And like, it's this go, go, go. What are some signs that you're actually approaching burnout rather than just regular tired? Like, how can we tell the difference if, like, something that I want to do, but I'm like too tired versus like, I'm done. I'm tapping out.
So, it's the number of times I think you feel tired if it never ends. It's that when you're approaching it, we all feel tired sometimes. We have days that are really full and really busy, and so we're tired. And that's normal to be tired on occasion. It's when you're tired more days than you're not. It's when you're exhausted even after 10 hours of sleep on a regular basis. Not, I got 10 hours of sleep, but I'm still tired today. But it's in a constant, if every Saturday you get 10 hours of sleep on your weekend, right? But it's every single week that happens and you're still exhausted. Those are signs that we need to start looking at the way we're living before we hit burnout. We're on our way. We're in those moments. We're maybe not quite there yet, but those are kind of looking back at it. If I had noticed, you're like, everybody's tired, everybody's exhausted, and that's what we tell ourselves. Everybody else is tired too. Everybody else is exhausted, and they are, but not in a good way. And we somehow justify that as, well, if everybody else is tired, when you go back to that old adage that your parents used to say, well, if everybody else goes and jumps off the bridge, you know, maybe we should take that childhood lesson and flip it around on ourselves.
So what I'm hearing, and maybe correct me if I'm wrong, is that it's about the pattern of it rather than just the feeling, right?
Sure.
It's about recognizing that this is like a constant thing that is occurring over and over and over again. How can we start to build the skill to look at that pattern though? Like, I know for myself, when I'm like in the thick of it, it's like I don't have, I mean, if I'm that tired, I don't have the energy to like take the bird's eye perspective of what is happening to me. It's like I'm just kind of go.
Yeah, when does that go? You're in the race, right? When you're in the race, there are blinders. And we don't see some of those things. So it is really, really challenging. And you may not catch every single one. Like, we have been through burnout, we've been through those moments, but there's still times that we realize, oh, you know what? There it was over there. And we've been through it and we can recognize it a lot to be able to correct ourselves. So it's one of those, it is really hard to remove our blinders, but I think that first step is asking the question. If you're listening to a podcast like this, maybe for the first time, or you're searching the internet and you're asking your AI or Google or whoever some of these questions, why am I always exhausted? Why am I always tired? Those are the first signs that we may be ready to hear some of these things. And everybody's on their own journey. The theory of, well, I've heard it before. Yes, but when you heard it before, you might not have been ready to act on it, to do the next step, to take the next whatever. And so all of those are good signs. And you shouldn't take even those small signs of, I'm just going to ask Google why. And you ask the question or you ask your doctor why I'm always tired. Those are the signs that you are recognizing it, but you may not fully be ready to face it. And that's where that kind of real, honest conversation with yourself starts. Okay, you know what? I researched this 3 weeks ago, and here I am again on the same subject, asking the same question. And that may be where we see it. We see it in our Google search history, maybe not so much in ourselves. And as we start to recognize those things, that's where we start asking those deeper questions of ourselves first. You're not going to come to talk to me or go to talk to you or anybody that's like us on the first sign, right? So you should be very comfortable in, you know what, I need to spot it in myself, and asking small questions first is absolutely the best first step you can take.
Oh my God, you bring up such a wonderful, so I have been like picking up lately, even around me, it's like the ability to like go back and examine something that you've already examined and get a new perspective on it. Like even something as small as like reading a book again, like you're gonna get something completely different from it. Rewatching a TV show, you're gonna get something totally different from it. But when you start to re-examine the things that you have gone through, I mean, we're growing as people constantly. We're always evolving. So the person who looked at that situation a year ago is a very different person that's who's going to look at it today. I'm definitely going to go through my Google searches now and see what the hell I'm Googling about.
Yeah, Google searches tell us a lot about ourselves, like what all's in there. And you're like, you know what? There's a pattern that I like, I don't know, some kind of movie, or I like, it kind of does tell us what the different things are. It's a nice little reference point. If you don't clear your cookies. Now, if you clear your cookies a lot, it's probably not going to help you a whole lot.
Oh, so what have you found has been like one of the biggest causes for burnout in women that come to you? Like when they come to you, what do you think is like at the root of it?
We so often are taught we're supposed to have it all. We're supposed to be a great mom. We're supposed to be a great employee. We're supposed to drive our career forward. We're supposed to be a great wife. Our house is supposed to be perfect. And we have always, long before Instagram and Facebook told us life is perfect, we had been told that to be great women, we have to all of these things. And I think it's one that's done a lot of disservice to us, because we can have all of the things. We just can't have all of the things at the exact same time. And that's the problem. We're trying to maintain all of the columns or all of the categories or all of the whatevers, and you can have a lot of these things, but we so often go, well, I don't want to take a step back in my career to be able to do this. But if I don't show up for my kid, then I'm not doing this. And now we're up at, 1 o'clock in the morning making cookies for the bake sale to be the perfect mom. And we're vacuuming a house and we're driving our kids nuts with the perfect house that isn't lived in, but perfect and untouched. And so we've driven ourselves in this cycle, but then we've also taught our daughters this cycle,
Mhm.
right? And
Yeah.
what I think we're also learning as a Gen X with Gen Z children that are all young adults, so they're all creating their lives. One of the things they've all learned from us, both the girls and the boys, is I don't want to live like that. It doesn't inspire me to be burnt out. It doesn't inspire me to have $1 million house. I'll have the $250,000 house that I can afford and is smaller and I can maintain if it means I get to sleep or I get to hang out with my friends or I get to go on vacation, or and they make those life assessments, but that's what they learned from us. And it drives certain business people nuts, because they're like, what do you mean you turn your phone off at 6 o'clock? You get me till 6 and that's it. That's the line. But
Yeah.
that's what they learned from our burnout, from watching us burn the wick at both ends.
Yeah. And who was it that said, I think it was Oprah that said, you can have everything you want, just not at the same time or something like that. And
Mm-hmm.
that's okay. I
Oh,
think one of the driving factors that I feel like is having like a true main purpose. Like there's going to be phases in your life where you want to be super mom,
Mhm.
where your energy, your mental capacity, your physical capacity is going to go towards that. Okay, your house is a little bit messy. Okay, your career has plateaued just a little bit. That's fine. But we put so much pressure in, no, I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do that. And let me tell you, the best thing I ever did for my career was get a cleaner. The best thing I ever did in my life. Like
Mhm.
having somebody come and clean my house once a week just to like
Yeah.
do the deep cleaning, because I realized that me spending that time, like even if it was 4 hours, really was a whole day because I was too tired to do anything else.
Anything else?
I didn't
Mhm.
want to hang out with my husband. I was just like, no, I'm just gonna like, because I'm done. It took so much physical, mental space that it was like, oh, but then came the guilt of, I'm not the
I
one
didn't
keeping my
clean.
house clean. Yeah, it wasn't
Yes.
me. Someone else was taking care of me. And that like delegation
Mhm.
was guilt. It came with a guilt. And now I'm just like, you know what? I understand now the ramification of being able to give myself that time, space, and energy to put into my husband, to put into my family and my career and something else. So yeah, I can't clean my house. Like I haven't cleaned my house in a long time, but that's okay because now I can do other things that are more important to me.
And you got to put somebody else to work. You help pay somebody, like, right now. It's so let's change the mentality. We didn't do that to help us. That's not
Yeah.
for us. We did that to help, right? Because we as women go, I'll help other people. I just can't ask for it, right? Like, I can't ask for it. Having help makes me less of a mom and a wife. And so, right, we diminished all of those things. But if we change the mentality, I got the maid not for me, but now I'm employing someone else so they can provide for their family. And now it's okay to have the maid because
Mhm.
we're allowed to help other people. We're just not allowed to ask for it ourselves.
Oh, yes,
So change the
absolutely.
mindset, and suddenly we're winning.
So Rhonda Byrne has this like cute little mindset hack that she does when people get their bills and they're like, oh, instead of thinking, oh, I have to pay this bill, like say it's the electric bill, it's like, oh, I'm going to pay the people who keep the power plant running and they're putting their kids through school and they've got wives, they've got medical bills, they've got things that I'm contributing to that. So it's not just about my light, it's about where does that money go and flow down and having that impact on the street. So I really appreciate you reframing that for me because, yeah, it feels good to be able to. I mean, it gives me that from my family, and my family is getting the benefit, but also thinking about energetics of money and where that's going downstream with, the cleaner or, the people who came to paint my house or, thinking about all of that rather than like me doing it myself, which if you think about it, is kind of selfish when I want to do it myself.
We have this natural, I want to give back. So it does help us in that overcoming that. That's like you said, that's 4 hours that you get back somewhere else. It's 4 hours of peace. It's a 4 hour pause in your week, maybe not all at the same time, but in your week that lets you think and lets you regroup and lets you ask questions of Google and figure out where you're going and what you're doing. And it was 4 hours, and depending on where you live, however much money, big or small, but it's still such an impact to the larger circle and to the center of the circle of you.
Oh, yeah. And not only that, but like coming home to a clean house. It's just so wonderful. So
My mom had
let's,
a maid when we grew up, same thing. And so she would come like 2 hours every other week, something like that, to do the deep cleaning. Only it cracked me up because she would run around and clean the house before she came. Mom, I don't. And then if our rooms weren't clean, she would close the doors to our rooms. She's not allowed to clean your room if it's not clean. She's like, no, no, because she's here to do the vacuum, to get into, and do the stuff. So if you can't do the basic maintenance, then you can't.
yeah. Oh, I don't have that problem at all. I'm like, here's
Yeah,
extra dishes. I'm gonna meal prep the day before she comes.
that's a good
I
idea.
want I want to switch gears for a little bit and to talk about the moment of your burnout. The
Okay.
moment that you started to recognize that, oh, I'm past the point of no return. This is not okay. What sort of lit that light bulb up? Like, what was the moment where you're just like, oh, I'm doing too much? Or whatever it was. Like, what was that point for you?
So I owned restaurants as a part of another, yet another family business, because we like to do some family business actions here in Appalachia and West Virginia. So in another family business, we'd had restaurants for many years, and I was running the day to day of the stores. And I had had back pain for ages, practically years, I would say. I traveled both with the extra large bottles of Tylenol and ibuprofen and lidocaine patches on my back on a practically daily basis because you're running around a floor, a concrete floor all the time. And I just, again, that mentality. Everybody else has back pain. Women just have back pain. I've had kids, I've had epidurals. It's back pain. We all have back pain. And that's all in that. And I was actually on the cook line and I went to turn around and my whole right leg was numb. I couldn't move it. Like I'm literally looking at my leg. You know how like go gadget arms? I do this like with the computer or the phone. It's like not working. Like go get, and I'm literally going, move and telling I'm like looking at my leg and I'm telling it to move and nothing would happen. I'm literally stuck where I am. And I could touch my leg, I could feel it, but I could not make my leg move. And so they actually had to call my husband. He had to come get me because I couldn't drive home. It was my right leg, so I couldn't push on the gas to even get home. And so it's like I have to see somebody and figure out what's going on. And I went to, the the doctor, the medical doctor. And I had several compressed discs in L4, L5, and S1, so very, very low in my back. And it had cut off the nerves and the communication stopped. And you still are in this is a medical problem. You go see the doctor, you go to a chiropractor, you see the physical therapist, and you're in that process. And I still, at that point, would not have called it burnout, but it did stop me. I couldn't go to work. I couldn't stand on the concrete floors without it doing it again. And I could feel it coming on. And I was actually at a women's conference here in Huntington, and the speaker started talking about her burnout. And, she was in a shower and she just collapsed and she couldn't get up. And friends found her and she physically had no control over her body and they had to carry her out of the shower and put her in her bed. And then she started talking about as she went through therapy and started spotting the signs of what the burnout looked like. And then everything she's saying, I'm like, yep, did that. Yep, did that. Yep, did that. Yep, know all about that. And you're just checking off this list as she's talking about that background through therapy that she got. And I literally left the conference and I texted my husband and was like, oh my gosh, I have burnout. Again, I was going to approach it from a medical, you go to the medical doctor. It had never dawned on me to approach it from a mental health burnout. If you had asked me before that, I would have told you like burnout is what people say just in general when they're tired or they're sick of doing a job or they just don't like something anymore. It's a phrase that gets thrown around. And that's probably true to some extent. It is probably a phrase that gets thrown around, but because it is misunderstood. I even had a lady who I was talking about this to once, and she says, well, burnout's for weak people. No, let me tell you, I have working in news and working in a lot of places. I laugh when people are like, this is a fast paced environment. Like, you have no idea what that is sometimes. We use that one too much too. Fast paced working environment, it is not. But it's a word we do throw around and we do misuse. And so it was that, oh, okay, I don't know what I need to do. I don't know where to start, but now I at least know it's that mental health category I need to look at. And then I went to my Google search. And you start asking questions like, oh, okay. So it's I think burnout is really where you get to, that blend of it is the physical and the mental. And when you're far enough down the path, your mental health will tell your physical health, and it starts throwing signs everywhere, all over. I had more signs. I had probably spent a year and a half seeing doctors for various ailments, and it always came back to, we can't figure out the cause, and then it would just disappear. And then something else would pop up, and we can't figure out the cause, and then that would just and you just kept, okay, whatever, it went away, so I guess we'll stop searching. And it wasn't until I really approached the mental health part of it that it was like, okay, this is what's really happening. Not to discount all of those things. Like, I still go to Cairo. I still do these things to keep myself maintained because I still have compressed disc issues. But it helps me manage all of those things and know where my limits are a bit better.
Oh, and you bring up an amazing, you're just bringing up all the cool stuff. So how mental health does have physical manifestations. How we often will take those physical manifestations and think, oh, doctor, oh, chiro, oh, the medicine, something in the physical that's actually going to help this, rather than examining root cause, which is often psychological, spiritual, mental health, like all of these things that like do manifest physically. Stress, I think, is one of probably the most studied ailments out there, that and what it causes, hair loss, weight gain, it just a gamut of everything: acne, back pain, hip pain, leg pain, everything that you can think of can be derived from stress. And like you said, it's like, oh, everybody's stressed. I beg to differ. I'm not stressed at all. There's a lot of people who learn how to manage their life in such a way that stress is not a factor, but it's learning about, okay, where are we causing this stress? What are these expectations that we're setting for ourselves that are causing us to contract mentally, emotionally, spiritually? Because all of that creates a world of physical ailments, sickness, disease that, we want to just put a band-aid on it, go to the doctor and say, okay, we're over it, right back to doing the same things that caused those things in the first place, right? So what was the journey like for you? Like, did you go to seminars? How did that unfold for you once you had that moment of like, oh, I'm burnt out, it's time to address it? Like, what did that look like as the unfolding happened?
My journey, because of the back situation, it was, we have to stop doing certain things. I couldn't do all of the things physically
Mhm.
because I was in that much of a physical state at the time. Um, and so it really was a lot of quiet sitting here, sitting in the house, because, and my husband would be like, I'm going to go do this at the restaurant for you, even though he had a whole other job. He was trying to help me at the restaurant because he could see it. And he was actually the person who said, I think we're done with restaurants. I think you need to put that down. It has to, that has to go. And he kind of stood up for me when I couldn't necessarily stand up for myself. So it was having somebody. I was very lucky that that would have been my husband, but whether it's a friend or a different family member or whoever, but somebody who really kind of says, you're done now. And it's okay, right? Just to have somebody say, you are going to stop for a minute and I'm going to take and figure out the stuff that needs figured out. I'm going to figure out how bills get paid. I'm going to figure out all of these things because you need to take care of yourself because you don't. And so that was extremely helpful, which left me time to read a lot of different books on the subject, to go see the therapist, to deal with the medical and the mental. But a lot of it was also just stop doing, figure out what you were doing and how do you stop doing those. And that's where that kind of real practical step started is, you see so many things that are like, well, a vision board is great, but when you're so far down in that hole, that vision board isn't going to do a lot because I don't know how to take a step to get to it. And if I can't take the step to get to it, and that was, I think, a lot of the frustration I had in like seminars or different places is yeah, that's great. It's great. Make a vision board. I get it. but I don't know how to get from here to the board.
Yeah.
I don't know where to take my step. I don't know where, and it's what's my step. What your step and what my step are not going to be the same. We've learned different things. We come from different backgrounds. We have different experiences. So we're on, it's like watching like the volume on a thing, how you see the volume and it's like 15 different scales and you're like, look, some are like this and some are like that because we're all in different places in all of the different categories. So it's so different. So it was just being able to have quiet space to think and to be able to do with us some of those things and work with that therapist and say, Erin, like, what do you want here and what do you want there? And these are the questions to ask yourself, but also the actual time for your brain to process those questions and do those things to get there. And I'm still, I'm 2.5, it's been about 2.5 years since that day. And I still have those moments where it's like, you know what? I need to stop. I need to walk away from the computer and go take a walk and just let my brain think and be creative. And what do I want to do or say, or how do I want to approach and all those different things. And that's what the quiet part, some people are internal, some people are external. I took a lot of it internally and, quiet is good. You
Yeah.
need it.
Oh, taking a walk, it's recommended by everyone. Like, I don't understand why people don't take walks. Taking walks has such powerful benefits, and that moment of just allowing your brain to process just feeds into everything in your life. Now, how do you take all that you have learned over the past few years and integrate that for other women? How, like, what would you say is like a powerful tool that you have given to women to be able to make that shift themselves?
I think it's start, you have value and you have pressures and you're allowed to be a mom. But you're also allowed to say, I get 10 minutes for myself. We make a lot of decisions. I've made career decisions. I want to be this kind of mom in this phase of my life. So I'm not going to take that job, or I left television because I couldn't be the mom I wanted to be and work the hours that television requires to work. And I had never imagined a life not in news. I wanted to be in news since I was in sixth grade. I didn't know any other idea of how to do that. And so it's one of those you really start to figure out and show up for these women and say, you aren't who you were at 20 when you decided to be this. Your kids aren't, 2 and 4. They're 20 and 22, or, and so life is different. It's changed. And so it's really just showing up for them and letting them go, it's okay. You can ask questions here. And it's, oh, we don't want to, again, we don't want to ask for help. Help is a 4-letter word to women. It's a 4-letter word. We don't want to use it. And so just saying, I'm not here to help you. I'm just here to sit with you. And we're all together. I'm going to hold your hand and help you, work with you to find where your balance is. And sometimes I'm going to be the friend or the coach. A coach can tell you things, and whether it's a coach in this kind of session, but you think back to if you were an athlete, if you were the band kid, if you were a theater kid, whatever different area you were in, you had a coach or a band director, whoever, and they would give you sometimes not harsh reality, but they would give you the reality and not yell at you, but this is how you adjust slightly here. You're not quite in a straight line. If you're in the back, you're not hitting your mark on the stage if you're a theater. And so it's just trying to help in those little spaces when they are ready to get there. You can't go, you're in burnout, just stop. Because if you just start that, they're not going to get there. You have to see where you are. And so it's trying to help raise those questions in each individual person to say, well, what could we change here? What can we do that helps you, in this moment so that they can find their spaces that are safe for them to make a change that they need.
Yeah.
And those
Yeah.
small changes are going to make the biggest impact because you can maintain a small change.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, coaching is about leading, not about telling,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And the small changes having big impact, it's just that 1%. It's just changing that
Mhm.
1% and just seeing how much of a difference in the trajectory happens from that one little shift. And I think even doing that one little shift creates bigger shifts down the line because you're like, oh, okay, well, if that did that, maybe if I switch this other thing and it just gets the momentum going,
Yeah.
right? The tiny little shift. What tiny little shift do you think that women who might be feeling overwhelmed, maybe not really yet there to think that it's burnout, but that little overwhelm, what do you think one little shift that people can do today to actually start to get momentum in that equilibrium in their nervous system?
I think finding your quiet spot, even if it's 2 minutes, if all you can manage, because we have but I have all the things, I have all the things. And I think we also tell ourselves we have all the things, but we don't really have all the things. We juggled all of these balls, but yet a lot of them we don't really need to juggle. We do it because we think we have to look like we're in motion. And that's wearing us out. We're in motion, but none of the motion is productive. It's just energy burning and none of it's going towards something. So the small moments, if you're picking up your kids at school today and you're sitting in the pickup line, put the phone down and just sit in the car and listen to the radio for 2 minutes, 10 minutes, because it's the space you're all by yourself, right? It's nobody at work. It's the kids aren't in the car yet. It's take that space. If that's not a thing you do, you are at work and they ride the bus home or whatever. It's, you drop the kids off at school, you've pulled into the parking lot at work. So maybe that's where you do it. You put the cars in drive or in park when you pull in and I'm going to take 2 minutes before I open the door to just, okay, what do I want for myself today? Because nobody else is going to know you did it. You don't have to admit you thought about yourself as a priority. Shh, it's a secret. Right. So I can have that 2 minutes. If it's before you pull out of the driveway, my kids were in high school and had their own cars. I didn't take them to school anymore. So it was leaving the house and sitting in the driveway before the seatbelt on, before the car goes into drive, and just, I'm going to take a breath. I'm going to think about something I want to do for myself today. And again, even if it's the smallest thing, I'm going to get myself a cup of coffee before I send 10 emails. I'm gonna, just something in that 2 minute of quiet, and you can find 2 minutes. And
Mhm.
as you start to find 2 minutes, you'll start to find 5 minutes. And as you start to find 5 minutes, you'll find 10 minutes. And they don't all have to be together, but that's how your ball starts rolling. And then you realize you've had quiet long enough to think through something and go, oh, look, I could put that down over there. I don't really need to sew my daughter's prom dress. I can go buy one.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, again, it's that priority of time and yourself, and it may be really nice, but let's face it. I mean, you can start to put some things down. And if you have a minute to think about it, you start to find, oh, okay, I'm going to go put that down. It's not serving me. I don't need to volunteer for this. I don't need to be the teen parent. I don't need to, whatever the thing is. I don't need to do my kids' laundry. I don't need to do their homework. I don't need to, they need to do their, and you make all these, but if I don't do their science project, well, yeah, see, if they don't, you do their science project, they're not going to learn. And then you're in a whole other problem when they're my kids' ages now, 20 to 27, and they're still whatever and they don't know how to do the science project, but they it's a whole, you cause the whole cycle, so you start to find
Yeah.
those spaces.
Yeah, yeah. And just that 2 minutes. I don't know why Oprah is coming to my mind a lot today, but she also said, everybody goes to the bathroom. You've got 2 minutes,
You've
shut the
got to.
door, right? And you're there by yourself. I mean, unless you got little kids, right?
Unless you have kids, I mean, look, I have our 20-year-old, our 22-year-old go to college. I live in a college town, so they go to college, but they live at home because when you've got a college town, why not? And and no, at 20 and 22, they're still like, are you in there? Yes, that's why the door's closed. The door is closed because I'm in here. That is why. So yeah, even just,
Right.
That's why I
Right.
say the car, I think, is the safest of the spaces
Right.
because I
So,
can turn the phone off or, you can adjust that a little
right.
better than the bathroom door,
Right. Well,
unfortunately.
I think the sentiment, it was more like there is always little pockets of
There's
minutes
always,
that you can collect, and those will accumulate over time. And they would, again, like we were talking about, just have such great impact.
yeah.
I absolutely love this conversation, Erin. Um, Tell people, what are you working on? What are some projects you've got? How can people get in touch with you? Just let them know.
So I'm focusing on coaching and my clients and being able to really show up and be there for them in these moments when they need you to help them through it. But always willing to have conversations with folks because I think that is such an impact. So I'm always open. I do a clarity conversation. It's a free 60-minute ish. Sometimes we go an hour and a half, depending on how many, what folks want to talk about. But it is that safe space if people just have a question and where do they start and what's their journey look like, and that's completely free and just to give a little bit back to folks who need it, and start on a journey because you don't have to work with me or anybody, but sometimes just being able to have the conversation is so helpful. So that's what I do right now, in addition to coaching with clients that I have as well. And that's always, I love conversation. I think that's how we find where we want to go. It sparks those ideas and those thoughts that get us to the next piece of the journey. And then I'm on social media, Facebook, Instagram, uh, at Coach Erin Treacy. Both of them easy to find. And that's the website as well, coacherintreacy.com. Also have a LinkedIn page, and post a newsletter over there every week and talk about all kinds of different topics. Some like this, some more like business friendly and how to do it at work, not just at home or not just in yourself. So a lot of different aspects of it to take into every part of life.
Oh, I love it. And, you're accessible. People are going to come and find you. I'm absolutely sure of it. I think this conversation was so powerful. We had such an amazing conversation. I just want to say thank you so much for sharing time, space, and energy with all of us. And everybody, hit the like button, share this with somebody who you think might be on the verge of burnout, who can actually use all this information because women's for women. We got to support each other. We got to make sure that we are giving each other the tools to really thrive in that hustle culture. Because I think I'm on a mission to break that hustle culture. So everybody, thank you so much for watching. Love you guys. Bye.